Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well and having a great day. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and consider subscribing to my channel for more content on economics, finance, and small business. In today's video, I want to share with you the latest update on CBDC central bank digital currency adoption here in the United States and across the world. This has now turned into frequent updates. I know many of my subscribers are very interested in this, very concerned, curious, and so I hope that I'm able to bring some clarity and some interesting facts to you that you can then use to make decisions and to set expectations. I feel that I say this frequently, but at this point we all need to know that CBDC is not a thing of some distant future. It's already here and its development is being accelerated to be fully completed within the next 3 to 5 years. In my recent videos, I shared some very tragic developments from a country that was one of the first ones in the world to implement CBDC. If you haven't yet watched that video, I highly recommend that you do, and I say this because I think it is important to be aware of those red flags. Over the past couple of days, there were several interesting events related to central bank digital currencies. I will start this video with a global update and then share several interesting stories, in my opinion, interesting stories about San Francisco Federal Reserve making a major step toward CBDC progress. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. Japan's central bank is piloting its digital currency, a digital yen, starting in a little more than a month in April. The first proof of concept experiment was done a little less than 2 years ago. Essential transactions such as issuance, payout, and transfer were tested in 2021, and now they are essentially ready to roll it out. The purpose of the pilot program is to develop a system for experiments where a central system, intermediary network systems, and endpoint devices would be configured in an integrated manner. By the way, Japan isn't too far ahead of the game. There is a strong partnership between 4 largest central banks in Asia: the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the Bank of Thailand, the People's Bank of China, and the Central Bank of the UAE. And of course, the Bank of International Settlements is in the middle of that. These entities are working very closely to continue developing and to pilot CBDCs in their respective countries as soon as possible. Besides China, Hong Kong, and Thailand, more than 20 countries, including Australia, India, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Brazil, Malaysia, South Africa, and Ghana, will continue or begin in the pilot stage this year in 2023. So things are moving very fast. Russia is set to launch its pilot program by the summer as well, and we'll talk more about that in detail in this video. Now, Nigeria is set on moving forward with CBDC regardless of how tough the situation is for its citizens. I've talked about them not being able to withdraw cash to cover basic expenses, to pay for their children's medical bills, and the government is basically saying that there is a shortage of cash in the country, and therefore, if they get lucky, they can legally withdraw only an equivalent of about $45 per week. Well, this week, Nigeria is still pushing for the e-Naira. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, developed the e-Naira with US firm Bit Inc., a financial technology company. When it was rolled out in October 2021, Nigeria became the first country in Africa to implement a CBDC. And that makes sense because Nigeria's economy is the largest economy on the African continent. Now, here's an interesting twist to this story. After paying millions to Bit Inc., Nigeria is not happy with who owns the technology of their national currency. New software for the e-Naira will be created to allow the CBN to have complete control over this initiative. CBN, quote, wants to develop its own software for the digital currency so that it can keep full control of the effort. That does appear to be slightly odd because I would expect the ownership to be agreed upon before the work even started, but nevertheless, that is where Nigeria is. Interestingly enough, Russia's central bank is rolling out the first consumer pilot with real customers in April as well, so just in a couple of months. Very similar timeline as Japan, right? So the rollout with real consumers is scheduled for April the 1st. This is going to be a limited number of chosen customers, and once this pilot is complete, the Bank of Russia will decide how it wants to scale the full rollout. The Bank of Russia is doing a really interesting thing, by the way, and I will create a separate video about this to share the details, but I think this is something that may put it a step ahead. The Bank of Russia is considering a potential gold-backed token. This is actually really interesting because gold is the ultimate store of value, which is why we see the price of gold go up during really uncertain times. Cryptocurrency is an intangible asset, is similar to a CBDC in that it's not backed by anything. But combining the best of two worlds, backed by gold, may actually be a way to create a hedge for these blockchain assets. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, and if you want to learn more, please stay tuned for a new video. Now let's talk about the United States. The Federal Reserve has been actively involved in the development of the digital dollar. In one of my previous videos, we talked about the digital dollar project here in the United States, and that one of the leading Ireland-based consulting firms, Accenture, has been contracted for this. Accenture has close ties to the WEF. I will link the video with more details on this below if you're interested. But New York Fed and the biggest banks in the United States, including MasterCard, are nearing completion of their 12-week digital dollar pilot. It should be completed sometime next month in March. The pilot was launched in November of 2022, only 2 months after receiving a comprehensive framework developed by those who shall remain unnamed to keep the algorithm happy. But trust me, this was issued on the highest federal level, and 2 months after that, the New York Fed launched its pilot program in partnership with Accenture. But the New York Fed's pilot isn't the only project that the Federal Reserve is currently working on. San Francisco Fed is actively hiring CBDC developers. New York Fed was the first one to sort of lead this process. Now San Francisco Federal Reserve gets fully on board and moves forward with it. San Francisco Fed recently posted multiple developer, or in other words, application architect positions. These will be key people who will play a critical role in both designing a CBDC and overseeing its development. The salary for the right individuals ranges between $135,000 to $215,000, by the way, if you're curious. If you enjoyed this video and if you learned something new from it, you're welcome to watch one of my recent videos on CBDC. There's actually an entire playlist that you will find linked below. Thank you so much for watching and for spending your time with me. Please support my channel by subscribing, giving the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and sharing it. I will see you in my next one soon. Take care.